Jamie with Jamie's Arts a la Carte. Thank you very much for joining me today. I've got a little fun project that we're going to work on. We're going to create some little bags, little purses, and we're going to use the crochet method. And I've got this pretty no boundaries, so it's super soft. I've got a full skein and then a partial skein, and then this is just regular red heart yarn. And so I'm going to show you some basics with crocheting. This is basically, we're just going to do a granny square and then add some pretty little soft colors to it. Okay, so we're going to take these two yarns and we're going to make something pretty with them. So basically we're going to make a slip stitch. So wind it around your index, push it through, and then pull it. And this tail is okay because we will work it into the circle, and then we'll be able to cut off the extra, but this will help you get started, gives you something to hold on to. So I'm holding it with these two fingers, and I wrap the yarn around my index, and then we're going to do 7 chain stitches. So to do a chain, you're basically going to wrap it around your crochet hook and pull it through, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there is your first set of stitches. So now we're going to go back into this first stitch, which is over here, to create our circle. So we're going to hold this with our finger here. We're going to go back into that first stitch, catch one side of the loop. Then we're going to use these two fingers to hold this string in the back, and then we're going to pull it through. So then we have 2 on there. Then we're going to pull it through again. And now we're going to chain 1, 2. And that's basically the first leg of our granny square. So then we're going to do a double. That's a double. So now let's break it down. We're going to wrap the yarn around our crochet hook, go inside the middle circle, catch the yarn, pull it forward. Now we have 3 pieces on our hook. We're going to pull through 2 and then pull through 2, and that gives us 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to chain 1, and you'll see why we need that. That'll create the spot for the next row to set the cluster of stitches. So we're going to do another double. We're going to do another set of 3. There's 1, 2, 3. We have 3 stitches. We need to do a chain. All right, that's half of our first row. Okay, we need 3 more doubles. There's 3, then chain 1. So now we have 1, 2, 3 sets of 3. All right, now for our last 3. Three, chain 1. Now we've got to close our circle. So we're going to count up 1, 2, 3. We're going to go in through the top part of the loop, catch it, bring it forward, go ahead and bring it through the second one, and there's our circle. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a solid square and then a square that has this contrasting yarn in it. So I don't cut mine off and start another row. I just go ahead and I go along the top stitches. So by the top stitches, what I'm talking about is like here. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get over to that where we put that chain 1. So and this is me just hiding a stitch. And then I'm going to go into where that chain 1, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to chain, I'll have 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to do 3 doubles and chain 1. So it's just a series of 3s when you're doing a granny square. So you'll do 3 more. And that one's 3. Pull it forward and chain 1. So you can see you've got 3 and a chain, 3 and a chain, 3 and a chain, 3 and a chain, and these clusters go in those chains. But to set up for the next row, we still do 3 and then 1 chain. Wind it around, catch 2, catch 2. That's number 1. That's number 2. That's number 3, excuse me. And then chain 1. So then let's create the second half of that corner. Catch 2, catch 2. So there's 1 double, so there's 3, so then we'll chain 1. So now we have half of this row completed. All right, so now we're going to put 6 in this next spot with the chain after the first 3. One, 2, let's get some more yarn. So we have 2. So let's do number 3 and then chain 1. One, 2, 3, chain 1. Okay, we're 3/4 of the way around that row. So now find Here we are. Okay, the last 3 for this row. Chain 1. So now to close off this row, I'm going to do the same way as I did down here. I'm going to go and find 1, 2, 3. Then I'm going to pull my yarn through both of them. And there we have granny square with 2 rows completed. For this particular purse design, I'm going to have 3 rows. So we'll have 4 squares, 1, 2, 3, 4, with 3 rows each. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a final row in this blue. And again, we're going to go in through the top stitch there, the top of that loop, and pull it through. And all I'm trying to do is move my yarn across that edge to get myself over to this chain right here that we put in here. So I'm counting that as my first one, and so 2, 3. Now we're going to put 6 doubles in here, 3 doubles here, 6, 3, 6, 3, 6, 3 to create that granny square pattern. Just repeating the same stitch over and over, but just remembering where to add those chains, because that does give space for your stitches, and then it just adds interest. So get some yarn out. So now we've got 3, 1, 2, 3. We're going to do 3 more doubles in that, and that'll be the corner. Okay, and then we're going to chain. And if you, in the beginning, you can count, make sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now we're to this area, and we're going to put 3 doubles in here. If we did 6, it would not give us a square. And we're looking for a square this time. So here, there we are. So now we're going to move over to this corner. And this is what gives us that classic pattern. So here's our number 3, chain 1. Okay, here's our next corner. Some people do something called blocking, like once they get their squares done, and it stretches the corners out. I stretch it with my hands, but then I don't really leave it set on anything. I don't do the blocking per se. Just don't do projects that really need that. So we're going to do our 3 doubles. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to move to our next corner. We're going to look for that little natural space that the little chain stitch gives us. You can see that on that light background. See, putting that chain in there just gives you an automatic little spot to put your stitches. Right, so there's 3 and I chained 1. So there's our next corner. There's our 3. I chained 1. So now I'm going over to the corner. I put my fingers in between right there. That way it's easier just to guide my needle, my crochet hook right over there to it. Three and then a chain, 3 doubles and then a chain. Three doubles and then a single chain. All right, our last set of stitches for this square again will be 3 doubles. And again, that double is just winding your yarn around your hook, going into whichever hole you're working in, grabbing it, pulling it forward, having 3 pieces of yarn on your hook, catching that yarn, pulling it through 2, pulling it through 2 more. That was our 3rd stitch, so we're going to chain 1. Now, to close off this square, we're going to find 1, 2, 3, put our needle, our crochet hook in, pull it through one more time, and while it looks like a chain, it's the same action as a chain. We're going to actually knot it off. And then what we'll do is we'll flip it over, and I go in the back side of these stitches here. work my way up to the corner, grab that yarn with around and wrap it around my hook, and then pull it through all of them, and give a little snip. And then we'll come in here and we'll go ahead and see about securing this tail. So I did the same thing. I went through the back side of those stitches, wind that yarn around my crochet hook, and pull it through, and then just snip the extra. I don't typically have that much, but if you haven't crocheted before, it might make it easier for you. So then that blocking I was talking about, all I do is take it and get my shape, and there's our first granny square. So I will create 4 of these, and then we'll have 4 with this contrasting yarn in there. All right, we have our 4 solid blue granny squares made. And then what my plan is to create this kind of pattern for the side of the purse. So then we need to create 1 more of these. I'm going to save that because I'm actually creating some little flowers to go on the little purses that I've made. So I'm going to save that for a flower. And it's the same stitches, it's just it'll be harder to see with all this fuzzy soft going on. But create that slip stitch. Put my needle up in there. Do my set of chains. This one's with the lumps and bumps, it's a little harder to get it to go all the way around like I did before. So I'm basically just going to create a little knot right there and pull it past the little bumps, these little bumps in the yarn, and then give it a stretch. That's just for shaping. And there we go. Then to weave this tail in here. See, I absorbed that one right in there, but we'll pull this one back through. And there we go. So there are our two sides. Sew them together. It's super easy. I'm going to use the blue. And basically take the two right sides, put them face to face, find your chain one in the middle of that corner, and that helps you get it all lined up. You can either do a slip knot right here, like how we started that first round, the very first thing we did, or you can just simply, and I like to go twice when I do this because that sort of locks it in, it seems like. Now what I do to make sure I stay on track is I keep my single crochets, my single stitch, all lined up. And I'm basically going to just go through, and I'm going to tuck that in there because, you know, take care of that tail as we go. I'm just going to go through the top 2 loops, and I'll show you what that does is it gives a little frame around each granny square that looks kind of nice. So just picking those top 2 loops, one from this color, one from this color, and just drawing it through. And yes, I do every one. Some people don't, but this is how I do it. My grandmother is the one who taught me to crochet, and it's something that I've done for a very long time. I don't necessarily read patterns, but I do all kinds of variations with this granny square. Now when you get over to the chain 1, I do go ahead and do almost like a French knot if you're embroidering, to sort of lock that in. And then right sides again, and since we're alternating, we want to have the different one on top this time. Let me show you. See how that gives us a little outline there? And when it's all together, it'll give you something like this. So you have like a border. Turns out really nice. See it on this one too. See, it outlines each of those squares. So that's the point of just catching that one in the back. So now we're down to our chain 1. So let's go ahead and give us a little French knot. That'll secure it. And then we're going to weave this end back and forth. And again, this isn't for structural. This is just to stability more than anything. So we'll take our crochet hook and we'll come back here. We're going to be working in that top, so we're going to bring it away from that. Give it like 3 stitches because it's already woven over here. So one thing to take into consideration is that you do have to accommodate for different weights of yarn, but they're really pretty when you incorporate them together. I'm going to show you how to make this little flower. We're going to do a solid one. We're going to start with this one because I want to see this one. On my end. And then all I do is just make a little single knot, tie it anywhere on my circle. And these are from my hat looms. They do have special flower looms, but I didn't buy that. I figured out how to do it with this. And then going to take it around. It's a little harder with this fuzzy yarn, so we'll let our crochet hook help us here. This really doesn't have to stay on as a knot for long, because I'll show you what the next step is. So we've got it tied off here and here. And then we will take, let's see, got some scraps over here. Let's take this blue one. And so what you do is you crisscross in the center, and that holds it together. And I give a pretty good long tail on this when I tie it off, because that's another way that I'm securing that center of this flower. So basically, I'm going to just go in between and go to the other side of the circle. Actually, sorry, what I should have is I want to go opposite of these. So, because that gives me a double directional tie off there. Sorry about that. And then just pull it. And like I said, I want a fairly good sized tail. I'm going to tie it pretty tight. Give it that double over again. Kind of locks it into place. Okay, So we have our first stitch across. So now I'm going to go 90 all the way around. So what I mean by that is, so now I'm going to cross over, which is 90 from the other stitch. Pull it tight, and then come 90 again, which actually puts it between the other two stitches. Pull it tight, and then one more in between those two. We'll create another one of these in a solid color. It'll be easier to see, I think, maybe. And then we're going to go ahead and tie it. Now once this is tied, you can literally just slip it off. And when you get to this knot, you can just undo it, or you can just tie it, tie it. Either way. You can use your crochet hook to lift them off. You can use this. These have little grooves, so it makes them super easy to get it off. And once you get about halfway around, it'll just slip right off. I like this one better than my firm hat form because the pegs bend for me. I mean, I don't want to bend them and break them, but they're very flexible compared to the forms that I use to make hats. I may use that to make some purses with, we'll see. So we have that many left on there. We're just about to where we can just do it with our fingers and lift them off, and boom, just like that. So we'll cut that. And so now we have this little flower. Which would look good on a solid purse. Maybe even on this purse. No, that one. We'll see. We'll see if we even use it. Now let's make a blue one. Giving it super tight. Hold my excess strings back. And just a cute little embellishment for a project. Alright, we have our front and our back created. I put a little border around this one. I'm going to show you how I did that. Super simple. Just gives an outline. And since we have this fuzzy, we have the different textures and weights. We have that little dip, So this kind of corrects that issue. You see even there it still gives a little bit of a fit there, but once you sew it together it'll be just fine. But this here gives you something to sew to along the edge, just a cleaner kind of line there. And basically made my slip knot. We're going to do this and pull it up to your needle, pull it through, and then here right in the corner we're going to do 2 into the same spot. So it's just both the threads and pull it through. So I'm just going and catching it and pulling it through. And to get to one of these little areas here, I'll show you how I'm sort of bringing that back up to try to create a level edge. And one more. These. Now it's creating that V. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to literally go once around, push it through, pull it back up. Instead of like the double, you do 2 and 2. I'm going to pull it all the way through. And see how it creates that level edge. I'm going to actually do 2 in that one. And if you see that you need, like if you only needed 1, you could just do 1. This one I am going to do a little different. And I'm going to go ahead and do a regular double here, because I need it to come flat. I'm going to do 1 more of those right here beside it. Okay, see how that's creating a level, a straight edge there. And now I'm going to put one on this side. And then I'm going to go through and do all of these at once. Actually, I'm going to do 1 more of those, I think. And again, I'm just trying to create a straight edge. And then back to the top here, we're just going to catch those back 2. And just what we were doing before. carry this all the way around. Now when I get to this end over here, and I have that chain 1, I am going to do 2 on this side and 2 on this side of that chain 1 to just try to help it to lay flat around that corner. Give that kind of look right there. See how it lays nice and flat? So right here we'll do 2 on this one. Now we're coming around. We'll go ahead and do 2 on this one. And there we are. All right. Okay, we've got our borders ready. So now we're going to turn right sides together. Now it's time to sew it together. Okay, we went same as we did on this side. We went 1 past our single crochet. And we're going to give a knot. And then we're going to weave it back through. Off. We can get rid of this little tail. It's been hooked up in there. Okay, so there we have it, and then we're going to turn it right side out, and there's our purse. All right, so we've got our purse done. So now let's create the handle. And I want to go ahead and put both together. I like the way that the weight of this feels. Create that original little knot, because we're going to create a really long chain right here is what we're going to do. Tighten our knot. Get us some yarn going. All right, so we got our length, and then I turned it on its edge, and this is what I mean about going in one side of the loop. So you have your little stitches here, and just like what you would do here, on the top, and create that stitch. So I'm at the next to last one there. So I'm going to go into that one. Pull it through. And then I'm going to do one in the middle, which is what I did down here. I actually did two, just to give it that finished edge. So we'll do the same thing down here, which means going in the end part. Okay. Pull it tight. And you can weave this blue down through here. Right, and we cleaned up our ends there. Put our ball over to the side. And then, so we've got this is attached. So basically we're going to just simply sew the ends right here. You can turn it inside out if that helps you. And basically we're just going to literally just tie some stitches through there. Let's go this way. Let's hide the knot. Be less to have to weave in and out. And then I'm going to go down a little bit, maybe like an inch, just to secure this. If it's on the end, it's a little more wobbly, but if you go down, you know, like an inch or so, then you can, it just works out better for you. We have a little end here. And so now that handle is securely put on there and it's invisible to the outside. Okay, let's do it again. So you want to keep your handle going straight. And again, you're going to go down about an inch. Let's start a new thread here. Let's go ahead and give it a knot to get it started. We'll tuck that. So now let's start. Let's go to the bottom first, make it a little easier. And so we can even, if you want to judge one side or the other, we were down about the same distance. All right, here we are. We have our cute little purses done. So this is a crochet granny square in different variations. So this is a rectangle that's folded in half. I lined some of them that had the real open weaving, Then I made flowers for some. Some didn't need it. Some look pretty just on their own. And what I did with these liners, it's just felt. Just your normal felt cut. I was going to use my fabric glue, but it is hard. So we did not use this. We actually used monofilament, real fine monofilament, and just did a whip stitch around and then inside so that it's fairly invisible. This one did not get a liner because of the close weave. As you saw, this one did, a nice pink one, which you can see it a little bit behind the blue, and it brings out the pinks in the flower. And then this handle was the chain crochet with the singles on up and down both sides. And then here's this one. I really like this one with these colors. And then we just put a very pale lavender liner in this one. You can do different things with your handles. Like this one, I left the twist because it naturally wants to curl on its own. This one is, instead of a single, is a double around it. So you can make it, you know, have a long handle or have a short handle. I mean, it's just, this is the same granny square in multiple different ways. Even this is the same as this, but it's still different. So they're pretty, they're soft, and they're versatile. I may, depending on who I give them to, they may end up getting a closure on them. We'll have to see. Like I said, it'll depend on, like if it's for a younger child, I probably would not. If it's for a teenager and adult, you know, I might do some kind of button closure. Well, I sure hope you've enjoyed this video. It was fun thinking up the different ways that I could utilize that granny square. And this is a tribute to my grandmother. She's the one that taught me to crochet, and I think of her when I do it. Well, I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please give the video a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please consider subscribing. And well, until next time, happy crafting!